ACLU, the left-wing activist organization that has a tax exemption, is now seeking a court injunction against the president's new restrictions on asylum. And, oh yes, catch and release is over as well. They claim the policy violates federal immigration law. No word yet from Senator Dianne Feinstein, who advised President Obama to use, quote, very broad powers to limit asylum back in 2014, the very foundation for the president's proclamation and order. Joining me now to talk about the president's asylum proclamation, as well as what is pretty clearly election fraud in Broward County. I know you're thinking, say it isn't so, in Palm Beach County. Former member of President George W. Bush's senior staff, Brad Blakeman. Brad was in Florida in those days, representing the Bush team during the 2000 presidential recount. Brad, good to have you with us.
Pleasure.
Greg Jarrett, Fox legal analyst and author of the New York Times bestseller, The Russia Hoax. And I've got to start, if I may, Greg, with you, because everybody's talking about Russia collusion and intervention in our elections, and we've got obvious fraud in good old Florida.
Yeah. I mean, the either corruption or incompetence has now consumed Broward County at the hands of Brenda Snipes, who a judge several months ago found that she had unlawfully destroyed ballots. Governor Scott has himself to blame. She cannot be recalled as an elected official under their laws, but the governor could have suspended her as her predecessor was suspended for corruption. And
that governor was?
And that governor was Jeb Bush. So Governor Scott should have taken a cue from Governor Bush and suspended
Or maybe just the idea that if you've got an election supervisor destroying ballots, you probably should replace
It's unbelievable.
So you would say he has himself to blame?
He has himself to blame for this. And, his lawsuit was well-crafted, convinced the judge. So a step in the right direction. The judge has now ordered Snipes to disclose information. She's already missed the deadline. No surprise there. She is either profoundly stupid and incompetent or she's corrupt. It's one of the two.
As I suggested to Congressman Matt Gaetz, there is a looming possibility of both. That seems to me to be a fair calculation as well. I mean, I don't even understand why the citizens, unless the citizens of Broward and Palm Beach County are so left-wing, that they think this is amusing.
They voted for her. And so they have themselves to blame as well, unless, of course, they love the fact that Snipes may be somehow discovering and inventing new ballots. That's a possibility.
Brad, your thoughts on this? You went through it. Who wins it?
Well, my hope is that they will not be successful, just as Gore was not successful in trying to steal the election from the obvious winner. Now, the numbers were a lot different. Obviously, we went in with 537 votes, and you're talking about tens of thousands of votes in this case. And it's always funny how they always seem to find Democratic votes. And it's always the usual suspects in a 67-county state. It always comes down to Broward and Palm Beach County. And we know from firsthand experience.
They got more commitment.
Unbelievable. Trunks of cars, they stash ballots. In closets, they stash ballots.
So why would the Republican Party, Brad, not have monitors there, attorneys already by the semi-truckload ready in those two counties to let people know that this is just not going to happen again?
Look, they should have. Obviously, they were not as attentive as they should have been. Some of the poll watchers are volunteers. They're neighbors. They don't have the kind of experience. They don't know what to look for.
I'm talking about hired junkyard dog attorneys.
You bet. That's exactly what they should have done. And it wasn't done. And now they have to do it. But it may be too late in some circumstances. Right. But one thing's for sure is we may have courts again deciding an election. This is not the way things are supposed to happen in our country.
I want to take up very quickly, if we may, Greg, the president's proclamation.
Yes.
Ending catch and release and severely restricting asylum to the ports of entry and denying it to anyone who crosses illegally.
Catch and release is a policy. It's administered by the executive branch and the president. He's perfectly entitled to revoke it. As for the ports of entry, the president's proclamation is the exact same as his travel ban, which was upheld by the Supreme Court. It's the Immigration Act.
And even
Section
more
2000.
important, recommended to President Obama
Yeah.
by none other than Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah. So the president's authorizing it. And by the way, the ACLU doesn't have standing to sue, but it's the ACLU.
Brad, very quickly, your thoughts on it?
Right on to the president. The president is doing his duty and upholding his oath to protect us. And look, it's going to be challenged in the courts, and hopefully we will find the right judges. And if we don't, we have the Supremes. And if it gets there, I am sure, as Gregg properly pointed out, that it will be upheld in the highest court of the land if it gets there, and probably it will.